What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be testing the new feature in BigQuery, which is AI in BigQuery. So we have Gemini here in BigQuery. So enable Gemini in BigQuery preview features. Certain Gemini in BigQuery features in preview are part of the trusted tester program. To request access to these features, blah, blah, blah. Gemini in BigQuery pre-GA feature access is enabled periodically in batches. Preview features that require Gemini in BigQuery sign up. Okay, so we have automated metadata generation for data insights preview. So this means that you can auto-generate something like a description for a column on a table. Then we have natural language expressions in SQL experimental. This is definitely what we're going to be testing out today. I just want to see what it kind of can do. And then dataset insights with BigQuery knowledge engine in preview. So that one, um, I'm not sure what that is, but I might look into that later and do that. Let's see. So here, okay, this is just showing the different products. So we have our new BigQuery test environment set up, and I'm actually just going to ask AI in another window to give me something to test the NLP for this. So maybe I can do that. So, okay, I just copy pasted this. So we're going to be like, give me some experimental prompts to test the new feature in BigQuery, which is using NLP to generate SQL. Output 5 to 10 examples of solid NLP based on a sales table, which includes name, item name, quantity, and item price. We're going to ask perplexity, and then I'm going to ask chat. We'll do on maybe the better model and do that. So we're going to let that kind of cook for a bit, come back to that in a minute. Okay, so here's how we have this. So obviously, if you want to test this out for yourself, one, just look up Google Cloud or Google Cloud Console, as you can see here. And then all you have to do is just put in a credit card and set that up. The cost is going to be pennies per month. If all you're doing is testing this, there's really nothing that you're paying for. With BigQuery, what you pay for is not the storage of this table here, but what you do pay for is when you process a query. And BigQuery is basically set up where it's supposed to be processing a large amount of data, terabytes, petabytes. So it's very cheap. That being said, it'll cost pennies per month if you wanted to test this out yourself. Now, with that being said, how did we get where we are here? So first thing is to go to BigQuery. So, you can just click on Google Cloud and then go to BigQuery and then boom, you'll be here. Next thing you do is go up to here. This is your project name. Click the three dots, create data set. I just put here test, and then you would hit create data set, and then you have test right here. The next step, what you want to do is create a table. So what we're going to do is go open here, create a table. And here we have multiple different options to create a table. So we have create a table from cloud storage or upload from your desktop. You could also use Google Drive and then some other options as well. What we're going to do is from the upload from desktop, and how we're going to do that is we're going to use Mockaroo, which is my favorite fake or mock data tool. So here I have, let's see, I have ID, name, email, item name. I just picked a random category. This one was construction material. I was just going down looking, hey, what kind of items can I work with? Maybe I should have done a different one, but I think that it suffices pretty good. And then after that, we have quantity, and I just made it 1 through 10, item price, 10 through a 1,000. So basically, the total sales would be obviously quantity times item price, and I set it up like that so that if we needed to, we could make some calculations with NLP. And then from there, I just click generate data and it downloads that. And so when I have that there, I go back to the create table, I click upload, I browse, select the file. You won't see the pop-up window, but boom, select the file, or I'll actually just put it in there really quick. So we have that. Boom, it's there. It's in a CSV, as you can see, .csv. That's what's made from Macaru. Destination is just going to be auto, generated. You have your project, your data set, and then table name, you can just do sales. That's what I did here. If we scroll down, this part is going to be more complicated, but it's also very simple. So if we look at schema, we can do this in 3 different ways. The simplest way is, of course, auto detect. For a absolutely clean data set, which this is because it's mock data, you can simply just do auto detect. I would recommend just doing that. In pretty much any use case, I would recommend doing auto detect, unless you wanted to manually set up certain data types yourself. And basically, auto detect will fail if there's errors in the file. And so in that case, you can utilize any of the other 2 methods. So we have the first method, which is using the user interface to type in the column name. So we'll say, like, for example, first name, and then that's a string, and then we'll do maybe like, what's it called, quantity, and that would be a integer. And these portions, I pretty much always leave this, what's it called, a blank, and just don't worry about it. We're going to be doing all the heavy lifting with SQL when we work with data anyway, so there's no reason to worry about required, repeated, for this. We can leave everything nullable, even IDs, because the main idea is just loading the data into the database, and then we can clean it and make hard rules with the SQL later. Max length for a string, that's kind of pointless, I would say, at this stage, especially with we're working with fake data. And then description, metadata, maybe we can generate that with NLP. I'm not sure. That apparently is in the feature set here. That's what this one is, but I have not looked into how that would work. So the next part is partitioning. So we're just going to do no partitioning. This is for larger data sets. I'm not going to get into what that means, but basically it just helps you load queries faster, process queries faster. The same thing with clustering. It's basically an index in a traditional database. You have indexes. In this sort of database, you have clustering. Again, we're not going to worry about that. Tags help you manage and enforce policies on your resources. Tags consist of unique tag keys and values. So I think that just has to do with IAM perms. Quite frankly, I've not used that feature. Now, okay, so let me just go back to the top. So you upload it, you write your table name, you figure out your schema. Again, we're just going to do auto detect. And then from there, you can skip all the other portions here. And then we're just going to go to advanced options. We're going to click that. And there's quite a few options for advanced options. And I can go over them. But the main one that you need to know is, first up, number of errors allowed. I would never change this. I would always keep it at 0. You don't want to load your tables improperly. So here is the enter the maximum number of rows containing errors that can be ignored. If the number of rows with errors exceeds its value, the job will result in an invalid message and fail. So this is very helpful, especially when you're going to do auto detect. It'll catch the error and it won't load the table. You can go back to your CSV file and you can clean it manually or figure out what's going on. A lot of times the issue has to do with something really annoying, which would be something like a double quote scenario, or a single quote scenario, or a escape character, which is like the backslash character. Another example would be, a common one is the CRLF, which is something something line feed, which is basically an enter. It's like a new line. It's like new line, and sometimes we're expecting CRLF, but then sometimes we only get CR, other times we only get LF, and then it basically breaks the file, and you have to kind of clean that and figure that out. Anyway, we're going to leave that at 0 because if anything was in that, we would want to clean that first. Write if empty, overwrite table. We're making a new table, so just, the default is fine. Append to table, what that would mean is we're adding new data into an existing table. Overwrite table is we're replacing an existing table with the current file. Unknown values, when enabled, rows with extra column values. Extra column values that do not match the schema will be ignored, will not be imported into BigQuery. I've never used that feature. Enable rows with extra column values. I guess this is jagged, or maybe this is jagged. I'm not sure, but anyway, column name, character map. I haven't looked. Oh, it tells us what this is. Define the scopes of your supported column and characters and handling behavior of unsupported characters. Column and character map. I have not used that. File delimiter. So this is an important one. Obviously, the default is fine, comma. So CSV stands for comma separated. V, what's the V? Doesn't matter. It's comma separated. So basically, we know that we're going to be doing the delimiting by a comma. Now, a TSV file is a tab separated file. And a tab is like basically 2 or 4 spaces, right? It's a tab button on your keyboard. A pipe is above the enter. If you if you hold shift and you press that backslash character, that's your pipe. And then custom is, you can put anything you want. You can put this squiggle or this backtick, this tilde or this backtick, or you could do an asterisk or a dollar. And these would, they would split each. Every time it reads that character, it's going to put the next value, all the next values into the next column. And so again, we're just going to do comma. And again, you can leave all this by default. You can just scroll past most of it, but I just wanted to describe it. And it's the same thing for the quote character. Double quote is fine. Again, obviously, this can cause some problems with some broken files if it's not just normal double quotes. Maybe they would have single quote, or maybe something else is going on. Anything can happen with messy data. But yeah, we're going to leave that default. Source column match default. Name controls the strategy used to match loaded columns to the schema. I have never worked with that. I'm not sure exactly what this is. Name. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be doing, but obviously, I think it's setting up dependencies for the columns. So when it's uploading your file, I think what this is saying is that it's aligning like column 1 to column 1, but there's really no customizability with that. So it's I feel like that's irrelevant. But if you were loading with code, then that would be definitely relevant. Header rows to skip. So this one's incredibly important. It's the only reason we even opened up the advanced feature of this section. So enter the number of rows to skip from the top of the CSV file. So if we look at CSV file preview, for example, we can see we have row 1, row 2, row 3, but look at this. There's actually a row 1 before row 1 starts. So this row is your column names. So in a CSV file, that isn't, if you don't open it up in Excel, if you open it up in, for example, like a Notepad or Notepad++ or, VS Code, if you open up a CSV in anything else, the first row is actually your headers. And if you load your table into the database without skipping that first row, you're going to load your table with row 1 being your headers. So we want to skip that. And that will make your headers row 1. So again, that's the only reason we're even opening up advanced options. So basically, we open up advanced options, put 1 in header rows to skip. Now I'm going to describe some of these other ones just for the heck of it. So quoted new lines. Enable to include new lines contained in quoted data sections in the cell's value. When disabled, new lines will signal a new row. I think what this has to do is when you're in Excel and you're in a cell, like a record, and you do a new line in the actual cell itself. I think that's what that is regarding. And jagged rows, super annoying thing to deal with. Enable to accept rows that are missing, trailing optional columns, missing values will be treated as nulls. With that, I would never allow jagged rows. Really, if we're doing a manual upload like this, I would definitely fix that file. So, but yeah, that's just me. Null marker is a list of strings that can be used to represent nulls. I would never add in that here. I mean, I would just clean that up with SQL. Customize time zone and date format strings. Okay, so this, if you have some kind of strange formatting for your date time, you can put that here. But again, I would just fix that up with SQL personally. Encryption, we're not going to worry about that. This has to do with IAM perms and stuff like that. And, you know, default collation, if checked, user must select default collation. Default collation can be created or altered later. User cannot disable default collation once it is enabled. If unchecked, default collation will inherit the setting from the data set. I don't know what that is. Default rounding mode, if not set. This one can be important. This one actually, out of all of the things to even consider, I would say this one might actually be one that you might actually consider. I would never really consider most of the other things to, if we're doing a manual upload from a file, I would not do anything really as far as editing. Maybe if we know it's a TSV, right, I would just select tab. You know what I mean? But default rounding mode, we don't want to be cutting off our values. If you have like 20 numbers after a decimal, if not set, the table default rounding mode will be inherited from the data set and will apply to all decimal columns created. This setting can be created or altered later, and if altered, only apply to columns added. So let's see, we have round mode unspecified, round half away from 0, round half even. As long as you're not losing numbers, then that's fine. So I guess default round mode unspecified would be probably the best. Yeah, because you don't want to round half away from 0. That sounds ridiculous. Although I have not read the documentation on what that means, but I have left that blank every time and have not been worried about it. Again, just to recap, we're going to upload, we're going to set the table, auto detect, skip everything, go down to advanced options, and then header rows to skip 1. Then we're going to hit create table. Boom. I'm going to quit that because I already made it. Good to go. Now, Table Explorer is in preview. I don't know what that is. What is this? Preview the table. Okay, so it's giving me a free select query. So we can look at the schema. If we click on the table, we can look at the schema, we can look at the details. So we have small file. Cool. Then we have preview. So cool. Table Explorer. I don't know what generated SQL. So it gave me a select statement. Select fields. Okay. Save. Okay. All right. So this is some strange SQL. Thing. I don't really see most people ever using this, to be completely honest. But I guess it's not a bad thing that this is here. Table Explorer. Insights. Introducing insights. Insights in Dataplex allows you to explore your data intuitively, transform SQL in natural language and grounded queries. To use insights in your Google Cloud products, you're required to enable the Cloud Companion API. I think we might actually look into that. Lineage. Permission denied when loading columns or resources does not exist. Column level lineage. Lineage requires data lineage API to be enabled. Lineage requires billing, blah, blah. Lineage is now column level. We've upgraded all your workloads without impacting your build. Go beyond tables and understand the impact or trace down the root cause of the issue down to the column level. Use the Lineage Explorer. Yeah, okay, interesting. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to look like on a real production database because I have not looked at this really, but maybe it can see where one column is coming from, but I'm not sure. Data profile, okay, cool, and data quality. Okay, so I don't know if I enabled billing on this test environment, but I'm pretty sure I did, but if not, I might have to do that. Anyway, so what we're actually going to be focusing on this video is not that. We might look at not the Table Explorer, we might look at insights, but really what I want to test is this button here. So it says Gemini and BigQuery is disabled. To use an AI-powered collaborator in BigQuery, you must enable additional Google Cloud APIs. Click Continue to get started, learn more. So we're going to learn more, which is the setup Gemini in BigQuery. Before you can use Gemini in BigQuery, which offers AI-powered assistance for your data analytics, your team must enable necessary APIs and grant roles. Some Gemini and BigQuery features are available at no additional charge, while other features require quota, which is earned by using compute capacity. To learn more about using Gemini and BigQuery, see Gemini and BigQuery pricing. Gemini and BigQuery is part of Gemini for Google Cloud and doesn't support the same compliance and security offerings as BigQuery. You should only set up Gemini and BigQuery for BigQuery projects that don't require compliance offerings that aren't supported by Gemini for Google Cloud. So keep that in mind. If Gemini can read your data and there's PII in your data, meaning there's someone's social security number or something that is confidential, that might not work for your organization. That might not work for your enterprise. Compliance and things like that. So we're going to see what that says maybe. For information, how to turn off, prevent access to Gemini BigQuery. See, turn off Gemini for Google Cloud products. Okay, so quotas. So quotas for Gemini and BigQuery for Code Assist features. The quota for Gemini Code Assist and Gemini and BigQuery code require requests for features like code completion and code generation is the same for customers using Gemini and BigQuery with BigQuery On Demand Compute or with Enterprise or Enterprise Plus. With BigQuery On Demand Compute or with Enterprise or Enterprise Plus additions, the quotas for advanced features such as data insights are provided based upon the daily average use of terabytes scanned or the slot hours for the last full calendar month. This quota applies to the organization level and is available to all projects in that organization. Quotas are rounded up to the nearest 100 slot hour usage. So that's a lot of hours of data processing, I believe, from what it seems like. Requests per user per minute. 120 requests per user per minute for standard. And requests per day, 1,500. This is for Gemini CLI, though. Okay. So, okay, even if it's 120 per day, 120 chats per day, that's still not bad for basically free. I mean, you have to pay a little bit for BigQuery, like a couple pennies, but basically it's free. Gemini and BigQuery pricing. Gemini Code Assist standard, no purchase required. BigQuery on-demand compute. Core features for building data-driven experiences. Okay, so we have core features around building data-driven experiences are available to all editions at no additional cost. This includes SQL Code Assist, Python Code Assist, data canvas, and data preparation. So the main thing we're focusing on is SQL Code Assist. I don't know what data canvas and data preparation is, but Python Code Assist, that sounds pretty obvious, and that's probably going to be working in Jupyter notebooks, which, do we have that here somewhere? There should be, okay. It's somewhere in here, but yeah, you can use Jupyter notebooks in BigQuery. It should be, okay, notebook with Spark. So if we did, okay, there's data canvas. Let's see. Data preparation and data canvas are here. Okay, so data canvas, cool. And then if we go home, data prep, if we go home again, notebook with Spark. Okay, notebook. We're gonna do US Iowa. Okay. Okay, so we have BigQuery Studio notebooks. We have BigQuery Data Prep, and we have BigQuery Data Canvas. I don't know if I'm going to get to those features, but just know they are available. Okay, Data Canvas, you can work with a DAG, Directed Acyclic Graph. Is that what DAG stands for? Directed Acyclic Graph? I think that's a different DAG than a data engineering DAG. Anyway, BigQuery table, multiple sources. Okay, so those are the features though. So we're going to go back here to, we don't need to see that, this. So SQL code generation, generally available. Explanation, generally available. Completion is in preview. So I think I started seeing this when the completion started popping up, and it was actually super annoying. So we have BigQuery Standard, Enterprise, Enterprise Plus, On-Demand Compute. Okay, so the parts that we do have is SQL code generation, Python code generation, data canvas, data prep. The stuff we don't have is data insights, which I don't know what that is necessarily. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so here we have automated metadata generation. So the automated metadata generation is only available in a BigQuery Enterprise Edition. So I don't know what the pricing on that is, but we're not going to test that out for now. Okay, Gemini Cloud Assist pricing overview. So we have natural language, infrastructure as code. Nice. Optimization. Okay, IAM, and some Firebase stuff. Cool. So here's what we have available. Certifications for security for Gemini and Google. Okay, so we have these ones. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go over all the different. SOC 2 is, yeah, okay. So we have SOC 2, and then is this the other one that's pretty common? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there you go. Turn off Gemini for Google Cloud products. Gemini, Code Assist, Gemini, BigQuery, Gemini, and Colab Experience. You can disable in Looker and Code Assist. Before you begin to update a Gemini Google Cloud subscription, make sure to go to the admin for Gemini and then turn off the API. Purchase products. Okay, so you can turn it off. That's good. And we're going to be looking at that again. Set up Gemini in BigQuery. Before you can use Gemini in BigQuery, you need to set that up. We're going to move that. Okay, so cool. So we are not going to worry about that stuff. Okay. What we are going to worry about is this feature. So blah, 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 enable it. We're going to hit continue now. Core feature APIs. Gemini for Google Cloud API is a collection of generative AI capabilities available in Google Cloud. In order to provide accurate results, Gemini in BigQuery requires access to both your customer data, bing, 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 and metadata, bing, bing, bing. So it sees your data. It's reading your data. Gemini is reading your data. Google Gemini is reading your data. So you need to make sure that it's compliant with the PII, right? So definitely don't enable this willy-nilly. Make sure that you don't enable this in an enterprise production environment, only in testing environments, unless you know for a fact that it meets the security. Where are we at with the security? I closed the security tab, but you can find it. In BigQuery for enhanced features, enable Gemini in BigQuery grants Gemini permission to access this data, which includes your table and query history. It includes your table and query history. Okay. Gemini in BigQuery doesn't use your data to train its models. Okay. Gemini doesn't use your data to train its models. It says there in plain view. The AI-powered assistance for Google. Now, it can read your data. It probably just processes it in runtime. It says it doesn't use it to train models. We're going to leave it at that. We're not going to do any conspiracy theories about anything like that. BigQuery Unified API contains a list of APIs needed to edit and save code. Use version history, share with IAM for save queries, Python notebooks, data canvas, and more. Okay, so we're going to enable these now, and it'll just take a second. Whoops. Okay, I need to enable billing, so I'm going to do that right now in another window. So give me a sec here. Okay. So I sent that in. Okay, so let me try this again because I removed one of my things. Let me try that again. Okay. Let me try this. Okay, so it's here. Okay, Gemini in SQL query. Auto completion is preview, auto generation, SQL generation tool, explanation, Gemini in Python notebook, code generation, share data to improve Gemini in BigQuery. So you can optionally give them your data, I guess, or something like that. Okay, so what we're going to first focus on is auto generation, SQL generation tool, and explanation. So start writing SQL. Convert natural language in these two or generate SQL with Gemini. So generate SQL with Gemini. Okay, let me think about this. So Oh, okay. So generate SQL with Gemini, you have to click here. So let's just give it a prompt. So give me a SQL query which outputs the, I don't know, sales by customer name, or sales by item name. And we'll just see what it does. Or on the test.sales table. We'll at least give it some help, right? Okay, so what's it giving me? Is it going to read the project as well? So we are going to, what's the copy button? Edit. Give me SQL query with output name, blah, blah. Okay, kind of hard to copy this, but there we go. Okay, so it's kind of like this. Refine, edit table sources. Okay. Use query with caution. What is this? Okay. Something, something, blah. What's this? Query summary. The SQL statement calculates the total. Okay, that's kind of explaining total sales for each of the items in the sales table, groups them, blah, 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 and it orders them. Cool. Edit table sources. Okay, metadata associated with, okay, so it's using this table and you can select which tables it's going to use manually. So we'll just do insert, see what that does. So it inserts it, give me a query, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then if we open this up again, let's say, okay, start writing. We'll just do select star, then we'll do from, we'll copy the ID here, where, it's not giving me anything yet. So let's look. Oh, here we go. Okay, so now it's auto-generating. So Control Shift P, Control Shift P. That's literally printing. That's printing. Oh, it pops. Okay, so if you do Control Shift P, it pops up that. If we click here, okay, let's get it to auto-generate. And how do I do that? If I press Tab, it outputs that. That's not bad. That's not bad. Let me see this. Item price has a space. That is not nice, because now we have to do rapid in backticks to make it work. Item price as item price. We'll do that. And we'll do that. So, okay, so it's able to give me just SQL while I'm writing it. And then let's test out, what the heck? Let's test out if we do this. What did it say exactly? Convert an NLP in that. So we can always convert NLP. So I'll just copy the exact same query without the typo and put that here. And let's see what it does. Okay, we'll hit tab to accept, control right arrow, accept word. Oh, let's try that again. We do that. Come on. We have to reload it by putting the comma back in. Unexpected end of statement. So it only does it once? Okay, let me try that again. So it's a bit hard to actually get it to pop up, it looks like. Okay. So if I take that out and then I do that, then it does it. So okay, a bit finicky with that, but hey, it does that. We're going to compare these two queries. So the query, we're going to close this guy. Okay, so it's the same query, but we did it within this generate with Gemini versus just directly there. So we have item, the sum of quantity times item price. It got the name right, which is very good. It put in backticks as total sales. So quantity times item price equals total sales. Here we have item name, and then sum of sales is sales. Okay, from test sales. This is going to fail. First off, because it's not pulling in the right thing. So that's better. Item name. What's wrong with item name? Unrecognized item name. Do we just have item? Item. So it's not reading the table properly. When we use here, it's not reading it properly. Sales. Okay, so it's not reading the actual tables at all. So that's annoying. So if we generate within this, it actually just doesn't do what we want. It's doing super generic. If we do it in here, though, it's actually reading your data clearly. Okay, so we have that as T. Now, I actually don't like the syntax. I just wrap the entire thing in a backtick, but if that's what it's going to do, that's what it's going to do. Maybe we can choose query mode, enable SQL translation, format query. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the way it formats it, I don't really like that personally. It's like very verbose, but we'll leave it as is for now. Order by sum of quantity times item price. So we'll see, this query works very good. And this one, after I made a few adjustments, it also works. Now, obviously, the one thing that this totally missed, of course, as well, is it didn't multiply the quantity times the item price because it was not aware of the actual table that I was reading. It was just doing generic SQL. So I would say if you're going to do it, explain this query, transform, convert NL expressions to SQL experimental. Okay, I'm going to explain this query really quick, see what that does. Okay, welcome to Gemini. Gemini Cloud Assist is an AI-powered collaborator to help you get more done faster, get answers to your questions about Google Cloud products, best practices, retrieve information about your cloud resources. Gemini Cloud Assist is a preview product and may display inaccurate information. Your prompts are never used to improve the model. Start chatting. Okay, so I can chat to the AI, explain the intent of the Google SQL query for me, blah, generate code. Generated code may be subject to license restriction not shown here. This query calculates the total sales for each unique item by multiplying the quantity sold by the item's price and sums values. The result are grouped by the item, blah, blah, blah. Apply and run preview. So let's see, what is preview? Whoa. Okay, so it brings up like a git like version control, like, okay, it removes the backticks, which, would that work? Let's see if it works. Accept, and we'll do run. I think that might still work. Yeah, so the backtick thing, that's kind of annoying, but no problem with that. Okay. And what we'll do is, let's see. Okay, we have that. If I highlight something, if you highlight, then you can read Gemini. Let's say transform. Okay, we don't need to do that. Convert NL expressions to SQL, experimental. Transform SQL with Gemini, experimental. Okay, so I'm not sure what this portion is doing. So it's reading the whole thing. And it's just removing some spaces or something. I don't know what that's supposed to be doing. We're going to discard that. I'll highlight this and see what this does. We're going to remove this, highlight this, and do that. And then we can see what that is doing. So we're going to insert that. So if you highlight it, then you can get it to actually do that. If we look at this, then it properly works. So if you have your NL, your natural language, you want to highlight it, click this Gemini button, then convert natural language expressions to SQL. Transform is just free writing. So it's the same thing if you want to write it here or there. So that's good to know. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close this out. We're just going to have one. And what we're going to do is just test out some ideas, here. And we'll see what's good. We'll see what's good. We're going to put that over here for now. Okay. So I'm going to do this. Whoops. Highlight that. And the whole point, generate SQL. So it takes a second. It's going to remove that, or no, it's going to leave that there. So item times quantity, total quantity sold. Okay, so it is reading properly. We're going to run that. Total quantity sold, item sum of quantity. So that's pretty good. So show the total quantity sold for each item. Find the top 5 customers who purchased the highest total value of the items. I'm going to do that. And you know what? We'll put it in a thing like this. And we'll just highlight that. We'll run this and do it like that. Let's see, while that's loading, let me see what chat outputs. Okay, I don't know why it's always putting something in a Postgres SQL window for me, but I guess I'm just a bad prompt engineer. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so it what the heck? It put that in my comment section or whatever, so that's weird, but no big deal. No big deal. Okay, so top 5 customers who purchase, we're gonna run this, or no, I don't think, because I have 2 queries here. We're gonna delete the old one and just run that singular query. Okay, we have first name, last name, email, and total purchase value, which is quantity times item price, so that's very good. What is the average price of all items sold? So we're gonna put that in here. Whoops, my mistake. And I mean, I'm going to be honest though, this is not impressive queries. And the table's basic, the query is basic, right? So when we get into the actual, real difficult thing where there's multiple CTEs set up, there's multiple subqueries, there's a lot of different tables going on. Would this still be a viable option to get things going? Probably not. Probably not. But, maybe you could ask it something more difficult, like instead of this stuff, like build a query which utilizes a cross join, just something more complicated, and CTE that will output a combination of, I don't know, item name to email to ending of an email, sample parse everything to the right of the @ symbol in the email column. So this is something that's a little bit more creative than these very simple queries. So we're going to do that. We're going to do, whoops. We're going to delete that. We're going to put this into this guy here. Here is a better, more complex example request in NLP. Please make 5 which are similarly complicated or even more complex than this one. All right, so that's going to cook. And then while that's cooking, we're going to do this and see how this one works. It's, a little bit more complicated. So I guess it really just depends on Gemini's capabilities. That's looking good. So we have the cross join there. We have the with for the CTE with email domains ads blah. Then we're going to have string position, substring, very good. Okay, so it kind of did everything that I was asking. We're going to see if it runs. It does run, and what did I ask? Build a query which utilizes a cross join and CT, which will output a combination of item name adding blah blah blah. Okay, and then and I didn't get the total sales. Then attribute, attribute the total sales for each of these new categories. Oh, I guess the problem is that it's not like a Gmail thing. It's like totally weird. But we're going to do that. Okay, let's see if we can get total sales by email item, which, it's a totally like not a real thing, but the idea is there. No one's actually going to look something like this up, but the idea is there. Distinct item, distinct substring. Okay, so we have item and aluminum total sales. The total sales was calculated by quantity times item price. We CC item domain, and then we can just do where not null. We can add that in, right? That's not too where total sales. We can just do that is not null, just to make it look better for the video. What? Oh, whoops. Yeah. Okay. And we'll do that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do I even know SQL? This is crazy. Okay, so where total sales is not null, unrecognized name. So yeah, okay, I gotta wrap it in a subquery. Just hang on. Super cringe. And that should work. Okay, so now we just removed all the nodes. And we'll order by total sales. DESC. And here we have the email and and there's 900. So there are repeat endings, thankfully, of the email. So we have that, or whatever, the item. Cool. So what do we have here? So we have some more difficult things. So generate a query using a CTE and cross-join to compute possible pairings. That's basically the same. Build a query that defines a CTE and normalize all item names, lowercase, remove spaces, cross-joins. This one is spicy. So we're going to be doing some text parsing. So we're going to just put that here. And we're just going to see what that does. Go back here. Okay, create a table which uses CA, splits all item names into separate words, cross joins each word with every unique email domain to calculate the total revenue. I kind of just did that. Write a query that uses CT to first bucket item prices into ranges. This is a good one. Cross joins the bucket price with email domains and then reports each bucket domain pair the maximum quantity sold. Okay, we can try that one. Okay, so what is this doing? Build a query that defines a CT to normalize all item names, lowercase, and remove spaces, cross-joins this result with distinct domains parsed from the email column, then computes the average sale. Okay, so I feel like it's kind of similar, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be something weird and gets the average sale quantity for each item domain pair. Yeah, okay. Big numerics, strange. All right, and we'll do one more here. This one look interesting because it bucketizes that stuff. What the heck? Oh wow, that's so weird. It it commented out the that's weird. But anyway, we'll do that. Oh, I see. So I guess it's commenting that part out. So what we're gonna do, yeah, discard this. Can we actually discard? Thank you. We're gonna make it like this. Or wait. Yeah, we're gonna do that. And then we'll do that. Maybe that should be better. All right, we're just going to insert this. So with the price buckets, if the price is under 10, 10 to 50, 100, blah, blah, parse the email stuff. Cool, does some other stuff, blah, blah. Does this run? No, it does not. Okay, that's fine. But it doesn't run because of this stupid space problem. So that's okay. We can obviously fix that. Okay, now it should run. No big deal. All right. So we have max quantity sold in the price bucket with some email stuff. All right, cool. So it's doing stuff. It's doing stuff and things. This guy, he's kind of falling behind. Not gonna lie. Is there anything else to test out? Not really. I think that's the idea. So how does this work? If you want to use NLP to write your SQL, you can write NLP, highlight it, click Gemini, click Convert NL Expressions to SQL, experimental, and then it will create that for you. I think that this was pretty nice. I would say it's really no different than quite literally taking this, copy and pasting this here, or Gemini, whatever. We're going to run instant because ain't nobody got time for that. It's pretty much the same as doing that here. What's the difference? Gemini is reading your tables and all that stuff, similar to how, what is it called? GitHub Copilot reads your code. So that can be nice, but that can also be not nice depending on the security aspect, of course. Do you really want Gemini to read all of your data? I'm not going to answer that, but I think you know the answer. And yeah, so they each outputted basically similar things. A little bit different. Coalesce. Is there a coalesce here? There's offset. There's no coalesce. This one, there's no coalesce. This one, there is a coalesce. So they're a little bit different, but the idea is the same. The item price thing here, that definitely won't get picked up. The names of your columns isn't going to get picked up, right? Because it does item price like that. This one probably does the same. Yeah, so it would help with that stuff, but that's pretty much how it works. So thanks for watching, and it's been fun testing this out. See you next time.